Let me just start by saying that I'm not meant to be here. I'm not meant to be in front of a camera, talking, putting myself out there for people to watch or listen to. Hi everyone, I'm just going for a hike. Come join me. If it's our first time meeting, my name is Michael. I'm the founder of MBE Learning, and normally I post personal development tips and how-tos, but in this series I'm sharing the lessons learned as I was pursuing a goal of having a positive, meaningful conversation with 500 people. And this is episode number 1. Basically, on this day, I spoke with the first 2 people in my journey of having a positive, meaningful conversation with 500 people. And the 2 people were my cousin Alan and his wife Stacy. These 2 people, they are the most spiritual people that I know. Like, I look up to them in terms of where they're at in terms of meditation. In fact, they've been asking me, or like not really asking me, but they've been trying to convince me to meditate for over a decade. And I always said that I was too busy, but now I've started meditating probably for about 2 or 3 years now, and now I can't go a day without it. It's part of my daily morning routine. That said, it shouldn't be a surprise, but the conversation that we had was around meditation, mindfulness, and also just being able to hone the message that I have to share with people. It is incredibly challenging to walk and try to record yourself at the same time, so I gotta find a place to stop and record myself. But the views are amazing. So as I was saying, if you were to ask me to meditate, 5 or 10 years ago, my answer would have been, I don't have the time to do it. Now it's something that I do daily, and I can't go a day without it. In fact, I even created a couple of meditation videos, which I'll link up here somewhere. But, for me, meditation is about tapping into different mind states. Even Tom Bilyeu talks about thinkitation, for example. Like, traditionally, when you think of meditation, you think about clearing your mind and not thinking about anything at all. But Tom Bilyeu, he does what he calls thinkitation, which is getting into a meditative state, and then when he gets a thought, he kind of follows the thought, almost rides that thought like a wave. And he says that about 80% of his best ideas for business or anything comes from that state that he gets into when he does thinkitation. And basically what he's doing here is he's tapping into the Theta State, which is a mind state that is somewhere in between your awakened state and your sleeping state. In fact, you go into this mind state right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up, which is one of the reasons why it's important to protect your mind during those times. Because during this time when you're in the Theta State, your mind is most suggestible. So it basically has all of its filters down, and it lets anything in and accepts it as truth. So if you're looking for a way to leverage that mind state, I don't know if you could hear the birds. They landed in the pond. So if you're looking for a way to leverage that mind state, you can do things like listen to positive affirmations during that time, or do meditation, or even just like saying a mantra in your mind. So as part of a morning routine is, for the first hour of my day, I don't touch my phone. Because if my mind is in a very suggestible state, I don't want other people to, like news or, social media posts or anything like that to influence my mind. Really, that first hour of your day is your only time to be proactive. Because for the rest of the day, you're just reacting to things. You're reacting to emails, you're reacting to messages, you're reacting to news, social media posts, etc. So meditation is very key. Mind management is very key. Again, I'm so grateful that, they were little nudges that, my cousin and his wife aren't pushy at all. In fact, they would bring it up. They wouldn't even really ask, but they would talk about the benefits that they were experiencing, and now I totally see it, especially when you live such busy lives. I worked in the corporate environment for over a decade, and it could get very stressful. requests coming at you, tight deadlines, all of those things, it could really have a big impact on you. And most of the time it's a negative impact on you. So how can you get control of your life again? How can you bring that happiness back? How can you let those things not take over you and not control you? And it's tools like meditation, being more mindful, being more self-aware, and just overall mind management is what will help you overcome those stresses, those everyday stresses that we experience. And it's part of the human experience. Like, we are going to experience those stresses. Like, unfortunately, it's not something that we can completely eliminate. It's something that we can manage. The way that I like to look at it is, instead of trying to completely eliminate it, all of those negative emotions and stresses, etc. It's about changing your relationship with it, because those things will always be there. But how do you react to it? That's all you have control over, is how you react to something. And I know it's easier said than done. Believe me, it takes a lot of work, but it's like any skill. If you can learn how to do it, if you practice over time, then eventually you will be able to do it. But it takes practice every day, every moment, every second, every time you experience it. The other thing that we spoke about was honing my message. And at the time, I had no idea what they were talking about. I was just thinking that, I set this goal so that I can overcome, my shyness and my fear of talking to people, overcome my social anxiety. Now I understand what they were saying crystal clear. It is important for me to explain what it is that I do, how I support people, what are specific tips and tricks and how-tos. Eventually, what I share on this YouTube channel, for example. But let me just start by saying that I'm not meant to be here. I'm not meant to be in front of a camera, talking, putting myself out there for people to watch or listen to. This is completely against who I was born to be. And it's funny because, some of the people that know me are like, no, you totally could go and talk to people and everything like that. But on the inside, it's not easy for me to do this type of stuff. Or at least it wasn't when I first started. There was this fear, there was, fear of other people's opinions, there were shyness, confidence issues. So I had to build the skills to overcome those things. And one way that I planned to overcome those things was to set this goal of having a positive, meaningful conversation with 500 people, because I knew that it would force me out of my comfort zone. It would force me to do things that I wouldn't normally do. Like, for example, just approaching a stranger and asking them to go for coffee, for example. Or even just simply, saying hi to someone, or grabbing my phone and reaching out to someone that I haven't spoke to in a long time. Those things, like sending an email, for example, those things actually crippled me. It was hard for me to do. It was a challenge for some reason. And sometimes, depending on the day, it can still be a challenge. It is still something that I continually work through. But I'm much better at it today. Much better at it today. And it was because of all of the things that I did in the past to practice to help overcome those things. And then all of the things that I was studying as well. Some of the skills that were very helpful were Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, for example. Essentially counting down from 5, and then when you get down to 1, it's like a rocket ship. You just go and do it. And that really helped, because you do only have those 5 seconds. If there's something that you want to do, if you don't do it within those 5 seconds, then your brain talks you out of it. Basically, if there's something that you want to do, but you're either scared to do it, or there's something just holding you back and you don't do it, then that's telling your brain that, oh, okay, that thing that you were going to do but you didn't do, you saved yourself by not doing it. You're basically telling your brain that you did the right thing and you shouldn't go do that thing. So if there was somebody that I was going to speak to, and if I didn't talk to them right away and I just hung back and didn't talk to them, then that's telling my brain that, okay, the next time you're in that situation, don't do it, because it's a safety mechanism. Your brain is trying to protect you. On the flip side, if you act within 5 seconds, if you overcome that, and you do talk to that person within 5 seconds, then you're telling your brain that you're able to overcome that fear. And the more times that you do it, the more times that you practice doing it, then the easier it becomes, and the more that you're telling your brain that this is something that you can do. It's not a problem to go and talk to people, and you can go and talk to people. Again, these are just things that I learned along the way as I was, pursuing this goal of having a positive, meaningful conversation with 500 people. So those were the main things that I spoke with the first two on the list, my cousin Alan and his wife Stacy. If you're watching this, thank you so much. I appreciate you being part of the journey, and I appreciate you being open to the conversation. In fact, it's been a while. We should have another one because I love the conversations that we have, and I learned so much from you both. Anyway, that's it from now. The sun's going down. I should probably get going before it gets dark and I get lost in the woods here. But thank you for watching. Peace, love, and virtual hugs.